May 13th, adopted. Councillor Bailey, Councillor Beach, all in favor? And that's carried, thanks. We have our first delegation, which is a Canadian Backyard Nationals. Carolyn Weber with the Lewiston Ultra event. Is she online?
Hi, I am. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Welcome.
Hi, thank you for having me.
You're very welcome. Okay, go ahead. The floor is yours.
Okay, well, so we have the absolute privilege of hosting Canadian Nationals this coming October. It is a once in a lifetime opportunity. We bid to host Canadian Nationals a few years ago in Sicamous, and we were lucky enough to get it awarded to us for this coming year. Canadian Nationals will host the top 15 athletes across Canada. Those 15 athletes will bring their families and crew to the area. Nationals occur at the same time across the world. So there's 77 countries that will be participating in Backyard Nationals at the exact same time over the same weekend. And throughout the course of Nationals, we're going to have live broadcast opportunities across the globe, essentially, to an audience of over 300,000 people at any given time. So we'll have the 15 athletes set up with the same route and everything that we had previously. And then with our live broadcast, we also have opportunity to feature Sicamous and the available amazing recreational opportunities. You have the floor for probably about 45 seconds, and like I said, a massive audience to see that feature. So I have chatted already with Jamie and Carly about maybe using one of the tourism videos that are going to be presented over the summer. Nothing that needs to be recreated. But it really is a great opportunity for Shuswap and for Sicamous to have an incredible reach and to feature what the area has to offer. Our 15 athletes, they're predicted to go anywhere from 75 to 120 hours. So they're going to race for quite some time. We're looking for support from the district with our athlete village setup. The race begins on Saturday and we're expected to go for at least 5 days. Based on the time of year, we're looking for some support or help with either connecting with vendors or any resources that the district already has. We're looking for like a wedding type tent setup that's pegged into the ground. We're looking for forced air heating inside that tent, access to the concession area that we previously had, the fire pit, just things like that. This event, the athletes pay to attend themselves and they receive grants from their community. We do not charge for anyone to come to the event. We pay for it all on our own. So I guess essentially we're just looking for some support from the district. And really it's an incredible opportunity for the area as well.
Thank you, Kara. Council, any questions? Councillor McCabe, Councillor Bailey, Councillor Bushel.
Thank you. Through the chair. Question, I guess, to staff. Do we still have an event tent? We did at one point. And my second one was, do we still have our SL 100, our portable stage? They might be interested in using that.
Go ahead.
Staff will meet with them, determine exactly what their needs are, sort of in kind we can provide to them. And if we need to come back to the council for anything further, we certainly would. But yes, we would utilize whatever we have available and support the initiative for
So I guess what what I'm picking up from this right now is the information that Kara has just shared with us. Staff will have a look at what we can and can't do. Councillor Bailey.
Yeah, I just had a couple of questions on just how many people you think would be attending this event, Sicamous. And then I guess the other thing is, in terms of, you've used the concession before, but you're aware that it's just packaged foods, I guess, in there because there's no triple sink.
Yeah, we're totally aware of that.
Okay.
And yeah, we'll stay within that. So okay, it is a really small event. That's why I'm very aware of the ask for this. And for our previous events, like we've never asked for financial support or any like portion of MRDT funding or anything like that. And you guys have always been so great with everything and allowing us to use those resources, and we're incredibly grateful for that. But for this event, yeah, it's going to be 15 racers, and I would say it's probably going to bring out about 150 people at that time. It's going to be very small. Like one racer from Nova Scotia that is coming, I know he's bringing 15 people with him. He's bringing 6 crew, his family, and a few friends are flying out. But even though it's making a very small impact with that amount of racers, the reach is going to be huge compared to the reach we have with 300 people in the area on our traditional BC backyard race day. You're going to have hundreds of thousands of people that are going to be able to see the video of the area. They're going to be watching our live stream. We have cameras that are set up at the start and finish area, as well as off of that Beach Park pathway and down Silver Sands Road that people will be watching across the world. So they're really going to have that bird's eye view of the area. And Nationals is only hosted every second year. When I have watched Nationals previously, I've never wanted to visit certain areas or cities, and after watching some of the features, I now want to go mountain biking to that area. So it really is an opportunity, even though the footprint and the impact is small.
Thanks, Kara. Councillor Bushel, did you want to add anything or?
No, I just wanted to say thank you for bringing it to the community and all the past events you've had. And it's also election day on that 17th of October. But yeah, other than that, it's a great
Some of us might be attending.
it'll be a great thing to attend for sure. Thanks.
Perfect, thank you. Kara, I think what we're going to do is, Dean, do you need a resolution for staff to, do you need anything from?
Not at this point. Staff will continue to work with her. It was just an opportunity for her to speak to council. And we appreciate that the event is coming here, and staff will work with her. And if anything comes up that we need council support for, we'll be back to you seeking that additional.
Yeah, and it sounds like council is fully in support of having the event here. So, yep, staff can take it away. Kara, thank you so much. We appreciate your, bringing it to Sycamoose.
Yep, thank you. I appreciate you guys so much. We summer there, and I'm very excited to be out in a few weeks and to check out the rail trail. So thank you, and thank you for the time.
You're very welcome. Have a good rest of your afternoon.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye. Okay, moving along. Let's flip that over. CSRD solid waste plan and Sycamoose landfill update. Ben Nostrand is here from the CSRD. Take it away, Ben.
Thank you. So yeah, I'm Ben Ostrand. I'm the General Manager for Environmental and Utility Services with the CSRD. And I'm here today to provide an update and an overview of the solid waste management planning process that we undertook. Some of the strategies that came out of that process, a little bit on the public consultation that we did, some of the realities of implementing the plan recommendations, and then I wanted to just give an overview of what's going on specifically in Sycamoose in terms of refuse management and the landfill. And then always, I know council is always usually interested in the numbers, so I'm going to provide a bit of a financial overview of our programs. So background, regional districts are required by the province to have a solid waste management plan. These plans are required to be updated every 10 years. The last time we did an approved plan was in 2015, and we did an update to that in 2019. And part of the approval of that 2019 update, the ministry said that by December 31st, 2028, we had to have a full review done and submitted. And so we're well ahead of time, but yeah, I'm going to go over that process on how we got to completing that. So in 2022, the board supported the establishment of what I call PTAC, the Public and Technical Advisory Committee. That committee is made up of members of the public. So we have members from each of our electoral areas, as well as technical experts. So I lean heavily on staff from our member municipalities. and as well as some technical experts that are in the field. So folks that have a business and doing solid waste transport. One of our contractors that runs our sites was on the committee. So we had a nice mix of public and technical input for everything that we were discussing. We also hired Stantec Engineering to help guide the process, leaders in this work throughout BC. And so we really got going in 2023. We had 4 meetings throughout the year where we identified and went over the current system and discussed new ideas on what we could do in terms of better management, better recycling opportunities, all of those things that we sort of manage on a day-to-day basis. In 2024, we honed in on those things and really identified the priorities and strategies that we wanted to advance to the public. In 2025, that was the real focus, was getting out to the public, and we did that in the fall. I have some slides on that coming up. And this spring, we were able to present the final sort of draft of the plan and get that endorsed by the board. And we're working with our consultants to put sort of the final touches and submit that probably in the next couple of weeks to the province. So what we sort of ended up with was these 2 tracks, and we lumped the themes into waste prevention and recycling, and then waste management. And it was stressed to us that we need more staff. And I know that's sometimes a tricky subject, but in order to carry out all of these great initiatives and ideas, we just won't be able to do that with the sort of skeleton crew that we have now. And so that came loud and clear through the planning process, and was identified as a key strategy was a staffing increase in order to carry out all of these great ideas. And so the 8 strategies, I'll just go through some highlights from them. So strategy 1, we talked about grant funding for waste reduction organizations. And so that's really helping to support thrift shops throughout the CSRD. That came to light as a really good idea. Strategy 2, in terms of curbside collection. And as I know, that's a bit of a hot topic here in Sycamus, or it can be. That has been on our work plan for years to try and do some sort of curbside collection in the district of Sycamus. And so that strategy got put forward for the next 10 years, and we're hoping to work with your guys' staff and maybe make something happen in the coming years. What also came to light was the importance of education and enforcement. If we don't have the staff, we can have all the great regulations and updates to bylaws, but if we don't have the staff on the back end to help do some enforcement and education, they really sort of fall by the wayside. We talked about construction demolition, and so a lot of times we have done increases to tipping fees to try and promote this idea that the more you divert from the waste, the less you pay. But we found that some of the feedback was contractors just don't have the space on their property to have 3 or 4 bins. And so the idea was sort of, what if we did that at the landfills? And so set up an area, a site within the footprint of our landfills where we would hire our contractors to do some of this separation work. So that we still have those high fees if folks aren't choosing to separate their waste, but we would have an option for them at the landfill. Facility optimization, so hours of operation, where our transfer stations are within the CSRD, are they being optimized in terms of hauling distances? An example is our Skamikan transfer station in the electoral area C, where we get situations where we have to close the site. It's just not big enough. We have so many recycling opportunities, and we are overwhelmed by the amount of public that are coming to use that site. So is it the best location? Could we, better optimize that facility? We have a couple of other ideas about Malaqua. It's a Sycamus landfill. Is that, the best place for a landfill? So all these things probably in the next coming years is going to be a priority to try and optimize our facilities. And then landfill expansion. We have 4 landfills in the CSRD. We are always sort of on top of making sure that we have enough space to accommodate waste for the term that phase of the particular landfill is open. And then we're quick to close phases that are no longer in use to make sure that we're minimizing environmental impacts and staying on the good side of the Ministry of Environment. What also came to light was climate, wildlife, illegal dumping, so wrestling sort of that balance between raising tipping fees, but also not raising them so high that we get a bunch of illegal dumping. We have some strategies around there. There was some talk of improving those, so that will be on the work plans. Then lastly, just by financial sustainability. I'll get into it at the end, but we're running, $6 million budget in the solid waste, or 3 million in recycling, and so big numbers, but all of the costs in terms of closure and landfill expansion are also big numbers. We need to make sure that we've got the reserves in place to carry out that work. So, yeah, so that sort of came to light. Nothing shocking, but some good ideas that we really want to action over the next 10 years. Public feedback. We held public meetings in each of our member municipalities. To be honest, they were not well attended. I think that's a challenge across the board to get folks out. Where we did have some success is over 800 respondents to our survey. And so really good feedback through that avenue, online survey. We were out promoting the online surveys at all our transfer stations, attendance. We had pop-up workshops. So I think that we really tried hard to get people's input, and we're able to use that to help the consultant guide also some of the input that we received. So what does this all mean in terms of administering and financing the plan? Again, that element of staffing, that won't be next year. It will be a phased approach. It's always done through the board and through the budgeting process. And so it'll be a board decision to increase staff. But it did come out as a key element in terms of being successful or being able to be successful in what we want to do over the next 10 years. Always, obviously, the cost impacts of these new programs. We do have some reserves, so I think we're in a good spot financially. Monitoring and measuring. So we want to be in line with the province and their provincial goals of, I think it's about 420 kg per person. That's provincial average. Right now, we're at about 620. So our goal is to bring that down and be more in line, obviously, with the provincial targets. The plan needs to be flexible. There's always things that pop up. We could have, a terrible season for fires, and that would, derail our plan. So the plan is always flexible, and our implementation and timelines need to be flexible as well. And then lastly, we developed a dispute resolution. This is something that's required now by the province in regional district solid waste management plans. I've never had a dispute with a member municipality in my 15 years, but we outlined a process if there was something. An example would be maybe that the CSRD were to impose a curbside program on the district of Sycamus. That would never happen. That would probably result in a dispute, and we would find a way to resolve that through this resolution. So just an example that is now in all solid waste management plans. So next steps, right now it's business as usual. We're carrying out our work plans for 2026. The plan, like I said, is in the final stages of being PDF, if you will, and then it will be sent off in the coming weeks to the ministry. I have no idea how long the ministry will take. Not overly optimistic. I would think 12 to 18 months would be optimistic. And then lastly, just again, nothing is done without the board support, and typically that board support is through the budgeting process. So in terms of Sycamus, just wanted to highlight the fact that we've implemented a new fee structure. So there's a $5 minimum for using some of the things at our landfills. We do have exemptions for that $5 fee, i.e. free days for yard and garden waste in the spring and the fall. We increased the overall refuse rate from $90 to $100 a ton, and then we also increased the mix rate from $270 to $350 a ton. So really to try and encourage more of the commercial side to take steps to separate their waste. Curbside collection. Again, I would love to, I know your staff is super busy, but we have had discussions about this. You're a member from the public that did a great job representing. I thought Sycamus was keen on curbside, but I know there's some opposition. So I think it has proven to be very successful in terms of waste reduction. We introduced the organics curbside program in San Bernardino and saw a 22% reduction. amount of organics that are going to the landfill. So I think it works, but it doesn't, it obviously comes with some costs and some challenges, and hopefully we can work together to implement some sort of program. And then just sickness refuse management options. When we look at the landfill, one of the most consistent landfills in the CSRD in terms of tons into the landfill. And so the green bar is what we actually landfill annually. So you can see it's almost the same every year, around 3,000 tons. What goes up and down is the amount that we divert. And so if there's a big project that comes into the site and we were able to divert a lot of that material, maybe it's clean soil or yard waste or wood waste, that would all lead to that elevated level in the red that we're diverting from the landfill. The design and operation closure plan, that is it's a document that we are required to submit to the province. They are required to be updated every 5 years. So in 2028, by December 31st, we will be required to submit an updated DOCP for the Sycamores landfill. We are well into that plan, and it just really lays out how we operate and how we design the phases of the Sycamores landfill. There were some recommendations in that 2023 plan that looked at a short-term option and a long-term option. Right now, we're going with the long-term option, which is about 44 years left at that site. But there is some interest in, I think if we could find the right location for a transfer station, maybe in the industrial area, some sort of partnership. I think long-term, that's where we need to go and close that landfill. The idea was to keep it for making emergencies and have a well-run transfer station where folks can drop off everything that they can at the landfill at a transfer station centrally located, and that material will be hauled to the San Marcos. Just this is what we do annually that we supply the Ministry of Environment. So the red is showing how much we fill. The green is for the area that we didn't touch in 2025. And it just shows annually how much airspace we consume at that site, which then we put into the calculations on how many years left. So right now we have 44 years left at the Sycamores left. I think I discussed some of these things, the hauling, the transferring, all of these things that will be required down the road. I think we should be well ahead of that 44 years, but that's sort of our maximum timeline that I think that we have in Sycamores at the landfill. I did promise a quick overview of the finance part of us. So in terms of the solid waste budget, this is the recycling budget. We manage just over $3 million in revenues. So a third of that is from taxation. We also receive tipping fees for some of the materials that we manage and recycle. And then we've done, I think, a really great job in partnering with stewardship groups. So for example, Recycle BC, we renewed our agreement with them for the depot, all the depots that we operate throughout the CSRD, 18 of them. And we're receiving just over $1 million in revenue from materials that we collect on their behalf. The expenses are obviously to run those depots, and as well we put money into reserve. So it's sort of a how much we get in and then how much we put out, and they typically match. Solid waste, almost $7 million in revenue. As you can see, the majority of that is through tipping fees. We did introduce a taxation element that's being directed to a closure reserve. So we have an overall unfunded liability for our landfills of approximately $45 million. And that's the long term when all the landfills are closed, that's how much it would cost. That's a scary number. We chip away at that number as we close phases of the landfill, that liability is reduced. So it's $45 million now, but as we close, that liability shrinks. But we still need the money in place to do that closure work. And so the board approved a tax element that goes right into our closure reserve. Our expenses, again, same sort of thing. What comes in goes out. We put $1.7 million into reserve last year, and our operating costs were just over $5 million. And that's the operation of all the landfills, everything we do at those sites and our transfer stations. I think that's it. I'd be happy to answer any questions if council.
Thank you very much, Ben. That's a lot of information. So council, any questions? Councillor McCabe.
Yeah, so we're in a watershed there in that landfill at 2 Mile. And so I imagine leach from the dump hits our water table and then runs into our lake. Are you monitoring the quality of water that's running from the landfill into the lake?
Yeah, through your worship, we do have a number of monitoring wells. Right now, we're not seeing impacts from the landfill that are directly related to the landfill. If we started to see elevated levels, the ministry would require us to introduce some sort of remediation process or plan. But right now, we're not seeing those levels that would point the ministry to that.
Go ahead.
That might be a useful slide or two in your presentation.
Sure.
Councillor Bailey.
Yeah, thanks very much for the presentation. I mean, obviously, this is a big budget item, is an emerging item, is one that's increasing people's taxes to the CSRD quite substantially, certainly around the closure. I guess I have two questions. One, why the $5 tipping fee? One of the things that I've heard is from a lot of people, it is diverting waste from your landfill, but not where we want it to be. People are just going to increase the illegal dumping. So I do have a little bit of concern around that. And then secondly, what is, I get the organic diversion things, that it's been a big deal over the course of the years, but there's also been a lot of studies around it when it gets actually implemented in terms of pestation. And it's a big problem. It's a big problem in Vancouver. It's certainly on a commercial scale, it's a huge problem, but even in residential areas, it's a huge problem. And we already have an issue here in Sycamoose with rats and mice and all these other different things that we're trying to control, that actually the municipality can't control anymore because we're not permitted to use some of the things that we did in the past. So maybe just comment on those two things. One is the cost, and then two, why are we implementing or want to implement stuff that, I don't know, hasn't had a great track record in terms of the actual management of it in the community.
The first question, the $5 user fee was really, I'm looking to strike that balance, and I've been directed by our board to really focus on user pay. And so when folks go to the landfill and they're not charged anything, that doesn't mean that there's not a cost associated with dust control or using our scales. All of the things that we do requires some sort of cost, and so a user fee is a way to sort of start to collect some of that money back. And so the one that has gotten a bit of pushback is the $5 to go to the reuse center. And so my argument is that if you're going to the landfill, if you're driving to the landfill, especially for Sycamoose, it's a bit of a drive. I'm assuming that you're taking your garbage. In that case, you're paying a tipping fee to drop off your garbage. There is no charge to walk over and look at the reuse center. If you're driving up to drop off your metal, yes, you'll pay $5. There's no tipping fee, so it doesn't matter how much metal you bring, but it's a $5 charge to use the facility. And the last one is the same as the yard and garden waste. So outside of those free periods that will be set, or that have been set for 2026, and we will continue to do that throughout the coming years, you will pay a $5 fee to take your yard waste. The exemption for that is if you had a fire smart assessment of your property, we waive the tipping fees. So there's not a lot of instances where that applies, but I guess I sort of think it's a way to not raise taxes, to try and generate some revenue. So I have a board because there has been some pushback and directors have asked for an update that's going next week. In the first month of implementing it, we've generated almost $3,000 in revenue. So it's only $5 a time, but it's already generating enough revenue to probably cover dust control at all of our sites throughout the year. But just as an example of trying to balance taxation and user. In terms of your other question related to the organics, the experience that I have is within the city of San Bernardino. I don't get complaints of rodents or attractants. In fact, one of our directors has asked us to look at curbside because the materials would be going into a animal-proof type bin rather than, you know, a garbage bag in people's yards or unsecured cans. And that has been proven to be more successful in terms of keeping rodents and animals out. So your point is well taken. We would look at all these things, the emerging technologies in terms of that collection piece. But from what I've seen, the curbside programs have been successful, and the benefits outweigh some of those detractive issues.
Just a quick follow-up here. Yeah, and I think what I'm really driving at here is that I feel that most residents and people actually right across BC, we're in an affordability crisis. And that's real. I think that's real for a lot of people, unless you're in the top 10% of the wage increase. You know, unless you're rich, you're feeling it. And I look at the plan and I start questioning, are these, you know, must-haves, or are they nice to haves? And certainly when you get into organic waste diversions, all these other things, those costs are generally, when you're talking about these different containers, it's mandated upon businesses to take on. It's mandated on residents. There's a mandate there in terms of what we expect them to do to help us manage these programs. And that's what I'm really questioning. I'm questioning, you know, when we start looking at all of the things that we are dragging out of taxpayers, what are the ones that are the priorities? And I'm certainly not there on the organic side of stuff. I would like to have a conversation about curbside pickup and see what that looks like. But I think in all of these plans, how I view it and how I look at it is, how is this sustainable and what is the impact financially to individual ratepayers? And I'm very concerned that this is the beginning of something that may not be sustainable in terms of the cost to taxpayers and where they're going to be able to fulfill their obligations as part of this plan. And plans are great. I've seen a lot of them, and we see them at provincial level, federal level. But I think what I didn't see in the presentation, and I would encourage some more thought on this, is what is the end user impact? What does that mean to ordinary people? What does this mean to our taxpayers? And I think that's where these plans should start rather than the other side around. So it's just a caution.
Yeah, the point is well taken. But also I would just also express the concern that these plans are really designed to make our landfills last longer. And at some point, if we don't do a good job of minimizing what's going into those landfills, we will be faced with extremely high costs, probably to the taxpayer, in terms of finding a new landfill or hauling waste to Cache Creek or doing whatever, because we've run out of space. So it's balancing like the short-term costs, which I fully understand, with the costs that I don't think will be around to bear, but our kids or our grandkids probably will be, in terms of where are we going with waste. And like I said, 44 years left for Sycamoose, and we won't have a landfill here. So the longer we make our landfills last, I think overall the long-term costs sort of flatten out a little bit. So that's just maybe a counter argument.
Absolutely. We have this conversation around the CSRD boardroom table all the time too. Like it is a cost, but to find a space to put all of our garbage and you know, our materials and things like that, the landfill doesn't make money. It's just trying to sustain it.
Quite a bit of revenue there. So it does make money at some point. It just depends how you spend it. So it does make money.
Councilor Bushel.
Through the chair. Yeah, thanks, Ben, for the presentation. Couple of questions. Recycling, just wondering how our contractor on Finlayson's doing with the recycles. Like how much, does the dump recycling area take more recyclables than Finlayson, or is Finlayson like a larger deep drop-off station for recyclables?
Your worship, our tonnage through Finlayson is much higher than the landfill. They've been great to work with in terms of their hours of operation. Also appreciate the work that city council did to support us getting there and the zoning and all that good stuff. And so I think it's been a great partnership, and yeah, we continue to have a agreement with them, and just great partners, and we are getting a lot of diversion through the facility.
Okay, that's great. Good to know, because yeah, I think the taxpayers in Sycamoose, they really enjoy having that downtown in the community, so they don't have to go to the dump, and it's very, very popular, and they're a great operator. They've been great stewards of the community. Another one, have you guys done any of the numbers about, I know I see some of these big metropolitan communities transferring waste, and they go for hundreds of miles to transfer waste. And have we done any numbers to figure out what it would cost to transfer out of Sycamoose to even to the Salmon Arm landfill? Or have you done any kind of numbers like that?
Your worship, we're not quite there yet, but certainly when we look at and start talking about establishing a transfer station here in Sycamoose and those costs, obviously that would be front of mind. We have looked at it in Golden. There's some real challenges getting Golden's waste to Revelstoke, for example. The highway is always closed, and there's carbon footprints. There's a lot to consider there. But in Golden, as an example, we have 9 years left before we have to decide whether we're expanding where we're at or we're closing. And so those costs and time, that's coming. That might be within my career, and so that's definitely top of mind. But I think that driving up to that landfill in Sycamore is one of the nicest views from a landfill, probably in the province. But long term, does it make sense for our waste to go up there? And like Councillor Malcolm, pointed out, long-term environmental impacts there as well. We should probably see a lot, and we have a beautiful lake down below. And so, to me, it makes more sense to find a transfer station locally and take that to an engineered facility in Salmon Arm where we have the proper liners, recycle the leachate, the dirty water, it never leaves the site. We're not impacting groundwater, and so I think that short-term option that was identified in the Sycamoose design operation closure plan, I think needs to be reviewed in the next 5 to 10 years, and making sure that we're making the right decisions for the community and long-term sustainability of that landfill.
And just one other quick one, that closure fee that it's fairly new to us, just in the last couple of years or year. If we were to shut down the dump, how long does that closure fee go on? Like I know you got to monitor it for years and years. If we were transferring it, you would still need some of that. You'd still need funds to monitor, correct?
For your worship, we have 4 landfills that we need to be thinking about long-term closure, phase closure, and so. If we close Sycamoose, we would still need money to close the other 4 landfills over the course of their lives.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Bailey.
Yeah, thanks. And I'm not trying to grill you, but I'm trying to ask some questions that.
I'm happy to answer.
Perfect. Because it doesn't, a couple of things just didn't make sense to me there. So we're talking about 44 years of Sycamoose landfill life, but you also put in a few things there that suggested that it's not the right place because it might be dangerous or whatever, but the data said that it wasn't because you're doing monitoring.
Yeah.
So I don't quite know how that becomes part of it, why we should shut it down earlier if we got 44 years left and everything's fine, right? It's been a dump for quite a while. It's not like that's going to go away.
Yeah, you're working.
Open or closed.
We can stay there for 44 years, but we are just adding waste and adding, I guess, long-term potential impacts to groundwater. The sooner that we close and seal that landfill off, the sooner that we reduce that risk. So I'm not arguing that we close tomorrow. What I'm suggesting is that long-term, environmentally, and maybe through looking at the cost to close and the cost to haul, like maybe there is through that optimization study. Maybe it does make financial sense. Maybe it doesn't, and we stay. But there's not, that environmental risk is not going away. We're just adding to it.
And I guess where I'm at is, sure, that's an argument, but so is mine in terms of what is the impact to the taxpayers and the costs and all of that. And I get the environmental side. We're doing the monitoring. I'm not saying like we should ignore any of that. We have to continue to do that monitoring. That's incredibly important for this community. But the other part of it, I don't see it as much rigor around that. And again, from my previous comments around us having to focus and be laser focused on the affordability issue and how that impacts the end users, which are taxpayers, is key. And I think that's got to be part of this plan. I get the other things are important considerations. That has to be as well. So I agree with you looking at that plan of whether this is a wash. But if we're closing a landfill down earlier, when we have 44 years of life, then that's a choice, right? I guess we'll have to take a look at that. But my concern is that we're looking at where this has real impacts. And some of these plans just strike me as that they're going to have some significant impacts. And they may or may not be the right thing to do.
Yeah, through your worship, I think the numbers that I shared in terms of that $7 million to run all the solid waste management the programs, $600,000 of that is taxation. The rest is all user and tipping. So I'm mindful of that, the burden that folks have to sort of take on just to get through our daily lives. And that's why that tax element is as low as it can be. It's going into closure. And there wasn't really an appetite, definitely from the board, to increase that. And it was actually the recommendation from the consultant was that it'd be at $1.8 million. So we are always striking that financial balance, I think. Again, your point is well taken. That's top of mind for us.
It's not simple. Go ahead, Councillor Beach.
Chair, just a little bit more on Ian's question. Is it, you say that that the landfill has 44 years of function. Is it a time thing that over 44 years, the ability to protect the water could be compromised, like gradually over 44 years, that right now we're not seeing that landfill compromising the water, but within 44 years, is that going to be a natural degradation of the ability to cope with that landfill?
I think I know what you're asking. That's not really my area of expertise,
Okay.
but the groundwater for
Yeah.
that site is, there's a huge distance, and what we call that is like natural attenuation. So the natural ability of the soil beneath the landfill to remediate before it goes into the groundwater and flows into the lake.
Yes.
Right now, we're not seeing impacts downstream, but the more waste, just logically, with the time and the exposure, you would think that it increases the risk that we may in time.
Yeah.
What I'll also say is that 44 years was based on 2025. If waste goes, let's say it goes up 10, 20%, obviously that 44 years starts to shrink. If we divert more and keep it at 3,000 tons a year that's going into the landfill, or lower it, that goes up, to 60 years. So there are some benefits to reducing an amount that it makes the site land last longer. Is that sort of the pulley system of how much we put in versus how much we kind of divert to make the whole thing last a little bit longer.
Okay, thanks.
Councillor Evans.
Hi there. Thanks for your presentation. I was in Fernie a couple years ago and I saw their transfer station and I thought it was a really great thing. I really do hope that the CRCD is looking at the possibility of closing that and finding a good place for a transfer station, because I agree the sooner the better to get protect our groundwater, like Councillor McKay brought up. And it was very, you pulled in, it was in their industrial area. It was like a big Quonset. You backed in, and I don't mind paying the $5 myself because of the fact that if I'm going to get somebody to pick my garbage up, it's going to cost me $16 a week, I think, something like that. So I just hope they are looking at the idea of closing that sooner than later. I wouldn't want to see it last the whole 44 years myself. That's my opinion.
Thank you. I have a couple comments. Okay, so just for clarification, when we have developers here in town that are filling bins.
Yeah.
And they're filling bins with metal and wood, whatever, and they're taking their container up to the landfill. So we're sorting it there, like the CSRD folks are sorting it.
So through your worship, that was an idea that came out of the solid waste management plan was to establish that type of service at the landfill. And so I think that there's some sort of facility here in town that's being demolished. Seniors.
Yeah. Yeah,
So I actually spoke with the person that's bidding on the contract and trying to find ways for him to reduce. So if you had a metal bin, the metal gets recycled, and it's, a $5 fee, there's no charge, and then wood waste is $50 a ton. But if you put it all in that one bin, it's $350 a ton. His challenge was the trucking costs and the number of bins that you have to have on the site. Maybe if we provide that service for a cost at the landfills, we would get the reduction and we would help the contractors facilitate that. So that's one of the things that came out of the plan that we'd really like to sort of dive into.
So would there be cost savings for taxpayers if construction sites did that, if they were required to have one for wood, one for metal?
Well, I would hope that it wouldn't be so much for the taxpayer, but definitely for the developers, because they should be paying less tipping fees, right? So the overall project should go down because their disposal fees should come way down.
Okay, thanks for that. A transfer station, to Bob's point, how big a space would you need for a transfer station? Like what sort of piece of property? How big?
I don't really know, to be honest. Like I drove through the industrial site, or there are some properties there. I'd love to talk to maybe your planners if there is the space. And see the council that went to where Fernie, that would be an example. There's also a great run in Pritchard on the way to Cameron's. And so it's a fairly significant footprint, but I don't have the exact figures for you.
Okay.
I could get that for you though.
And just recently we put hazardous waste up there as well. It was just, So, I mean, that's just another service that takes that stuff out of someone's backyard and puts it up, away from the neighborhood, right? So, it's garbage is such a problem. And illegal dumping. I mean, I think campaigns should be to report an illegal dumper. Like, I think everyone should be mindful of that and watching it. And if someone's throwing mattresses off the side of their truck into a ditch out in the middle of the country, you should get a plate number. You should get a photo. You should it's all of us. It's our future. I don't even know how you could illegal dump and sleep with sleep at night. I got nothing. So, anyway, that's great. Thank you for all the work that you do. And I know that you work hard to stay on top of all of this, and I appreciate it. Anyone else?
Nope.
Okay,
Thank you.
thanks, Ben. Thanks for being here.
Time and the opportunity to present.
Thank you.
Okay, department updates, 2026 recreation programming update, Jamie.
Good evening, everybody. So the chair, I'm happy to be presenting what is our winter 2025 and spring and summer update for recreation department. We'll just kind of start off right off the bat here. We'll just jump into winter programs. So these are the various different programs that the District of Santa Cruz offered either through our activity leader or through contractor-based programs. So we offered a little athletes program. This was a continuation of the one that we had offered in the fall. Things change as everybody knows in Santa Cruz, we kind of goes in ebbs and flows. So this year we weren't filled up with enough numbers to do our 3 to 5, but our 6 to 10 little athletes program proved to be very successful. We had 7 attendees and their parents attended. So that's actually photos of one of our sessions that we had with Danielle. Below that is our Masterpiece and Messes class. This had 6 artists participating, and some of the artwork, as you can see, little Natalie, old lady here, was pretty amazing at what these little kids can do. We continue with our Kangoo program. Unfortunately, this program had a fitness program going at the same time. Minor hockey was at full stream, so parents couldn't attend. So we just kind of decided to put a freeze on it. We restarted it here in May, and the numbers have been great. So as we always do with recreation, we call an audible and make changes as we need. We definitely do not lack in yoga in our community. We offer 4 different classes, all out of the Sycamores Healthcare Center, which has been getting great reviews. People are absolutely loving the facility and loving the fact that it's nice, it's flat, it's easy attainable, it's nice and bright, makes a big difference from the previous location we were offering yoga in. Our Wiggles and Giggles, I can never say it right, dance class. This was a new program for us. We had some little trials trying to figure out the right pieces, but all the little 10 athletes or little dancers you see there had a great time. So what we did is we kind of shifted a bit. We introduced a new craft every class, and those crafts they can use, as you can see here, they had little fairy wands, so they were dancing around to little songs, creating things, and each week they did a different type of craft. So they made a rain stick, or they made a fairy wand, or they made some sort of drum set. So they learned about movement skills and music at the same time. Mara continued to offer her pound class and whip people into shape, and that was going on all the way through from the fall right through to just the end of April. Once the end of April hits, we tend to see more use of the school, so we don't get as much success. Oh, I'm the wrong way. Where is it now? There we go. We offered the spring break camp. We had a total of about 4 or 5 kids in the first week. Second week, I think everybody did actually go on spring break, so we didn't offer the second week, which is fine. We offered 2 Pell courses here in council chambers, both of them with 10 participants. Since we've started offering our Pell courses, we have had close to 200 individuals take their Pell course and receive their certificates. So that's really great to see. I offered a home alone course for 6 little kiddos this year. Let me tell you, I tell the parents, I'll believe a half of what the kids tell me because some of the stories that come from them are pretty interesting. But I am going to take this home alone course and actually update it. It still talks about home phones. It talks about things that are no longer relevant in our day and time. And the one thing that I do say to the parents right away is, do you have a home phone? And they all go, no. And I go, what is it that you guys use then when you go away? Well, the kids have a tablet. So I say to them, can they phone 911 on a tablet? And I go, oh, no. I said, what happens when the internet goes out? Oh, what happens when we lose power, which we so often do in this community? And the parents all look dumbfounded. So I think I need a percentage of the new home phones going into Sycamores when these kids take these courses, because about half of them go and actually put home phones into their homes, just with basic service. At least kids can actually make a proper 911 call. Because what I say to parents is, it's not only when they're home alone, but what happens if you are injured, hurt, or anything else, and how many of you have a password on your phone? Do your kids know it? Well, they don't. So not only do I teach the kids, but I also talk to the parents about new safety in the new technology age that we're in. We do offer 2 weekly pickleball nights on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Those are always ebbs and flows as well. If the weather's nice, we tend to lose them earlier, but if the weather is lousy, they tend to go back into the school. Want to offer a babysitting course at request of the school, but due to hockey playoffs and to 4-H speeches that came up, we canceled, and we're going to postpone that and do that babysitting course again in the fall. And something that I offered new this year that I did speak about was our punch passes for all of our fitness classes. So if you wanted to attend a yoga class, a Kangoo class, a pound class, you could buy a 10, 20, or 30 pass, and that pass made it valid for any of those programs. So it was a great tool because some folks wanted to try a class, but they didn't want to, pay for the full session until they knew. It gave them the opportunity to say they couldn't have made Mara's Wednesday night class, but they could make Raina's Thursday night class. they could mix and match which classes that they wanted to do. So it worked out quite well. And so we'll continue with this in the future. Backwards now. So talking about some of the events that we had, our Christmas parade, again, every year it's growing, 48 parade entries. My goal this year is 55. But some notes that we definitely noted was that we do need a pilot car to run the beginning of this parade. I don't know how much more clear I could have been to the young RCMP officer. Please go slow, 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 slow. By the time I got to the end of Main Street, the parade was already ending and I was on foot. So this year we will make sure that we have somebody running our pilot car to make sure that the parade goes slow, slow, slow. With the parade growing, it's definitely needed that if we can put some bugs out here to the community, that we definitely need some help putting on this parade. I get that everyone loves the parade. They want to see the parade, but more hands on deck to keep the safety piece of this with traffic control would definitely be worthwhile. And we did try the movie this year, but I did find that when I talked to most people, it was once the parade was done, they wanted to go home. So we might revisit that and see if we can come up with something a little bit different for this year. Moving on to Family Day event. Bianca did attend this event. I can tell you 10 minutes before I was panicking because there was not a soul at the healthcare center. And I was like, oh my goodness, what do we do? By the time the event started, there was probably close to 50 people there, Bianca. Probably about 50 people. And Jeff, the bubble wonder, he was absolutely amazing. He has such patience with the kids, he engaged with the kids, and believe it or not, he actually created a square bubble. I would not have believed it if I hadn't seen it for myself, but he actually made a square bubble, and I would be more than happy to bring him back because the show was that very well received in the community.
It was really cool.
Yeah,
Really cool.
he actually likes to have
Where bubbles.
put like a mom and a son in a bubble and they got to dance inside the bubble and stuff. And if you haven't seen it and we bring him back, please come because and he is so gently spoken and has the patience of a saint because there were some pretty boisterous kids and he managed to. I'm like, what is your superpower? Because I'd love to have that. So he was quite good. Easter egg hunt, this event is growing. And when I say growing, between the ages of 0 and 2, we had 42 little ones. Which tells you how many young babies we have. And I bet you 95% of those were actually Sick Moose residents. So they weren't those coming into town. I was at an ECD meeting yesterday and our pregnancy outreach worker said that there are 15 new babies that will be born between now and the end of the year. None of them are coming in September, so there must have been a power outage in January for that. Because there's 9 new babies coming in September, sorry. So this event grew exponentially this year, which was great. However, what we're finding is people are not signing up. And because they're not signing up, we did not have enough eggs for a lot of our kids. And then because there wasn't enough eggs in their section, they would run over to the next section and take more eggs. So we have to do a little bit of reconfiguring on this event, but we will make sure that next year that there will be no tiers. And I always make sure there's extra eggs off to the side. So they did get eggs, but it wasn't the same as finding the eggs out in the field. So moving on to our spring programs, we are currently offering 2 intro to softball programs for ages 3 to 5 on Mondays and Wednesday nights. We are offering 2 soccer programs, which is a new program this year, 2 classes on Tuesdays and Thursdays for 3 to 5, and we have one that's aged 7 to 10. So this is a new expansion for us, and it seems to be proving quite well. We also started up an inline skating class. This was something that Danielle has been begging me to do since she started working with the district of Sick Moose. And she actually has 6 youngsters out every Friday night learning how to use the rollerblades stuff. And now they're racing with each other. And the next thing is apparently they're going to hit the pump track, I guess. So that's kind of exciting to see. And then we also have our ladies golf, which we are partnering once again with Mara Hills and Rickmountain. So we have 2 classes of 6 ladies that just wrapped up this past Monday. And then as you can see, that's some of the artwork that the kids have created. So it seems how we already spoke to Kara and had Kara's presentation on the Backyard Ultra. We did have 101 racers in the April event that we had. As to she is going to run another one in 2027. That will be the last Backyard Ultra that we'll be having. Then we will be making shift to doing a potential gravel bike race And then once the rail trail and the bridge is fully complete, there is conversation of us looking and working with Kara to bring in a full-fledged triathlon to the community. So that will be huge. And then as she spoke about the Canadian national event, like I said, on the October 17th with the 15 racers, to answer Milka or Councillor McCabe, pardon me, request that we have spoken to them about our 220 by 20 tents, putting them together, working out some ways that we can ensure that those are available for them, and then putting them in contact with potential in-kind sponsors that can provide heat and things like that for them as well. So those conversations are well underway. The next event that we had, if you didn't come and take this in, you missed a great event. Our Shoe Drop Showdown seeing 70 athletes from all over BC and Alberta, as far north as Dawson Creek and as Grand Prairie coming to our community. I was following a lot of them on the social media and their Instagram page. A lot of the athletes were actually here for the week. They came and stayed in Airbnbs, they were in restaurants, and they were showcasing sick moose all week long, which was amazing for us to get that generic, or not generic, what's the word I'm looking for, organic coverage of sick moose. Age ranges between 19 and 52. There was 5 grueling events that they did. We had a ton of spectators that kind of just cycled in and out all day long. Top male deadlift, 2 athletes lifted 700 pounds. And the top female athlete, she lifted 515 pounds. By doing so, she actually earned her pro card, which means that she gets to go compete at the Strongman Canadian National Championship for women. We had 5 professional female athletes and 2 professional male athletes. And you don't see it in these pictures here, but most of them, what they would do is they would actually be setting up their own little cameras off to the side, and they would film. And then they would say Sick Moose Show or Shoe Up Showdown, being in Sick Moose. So they were actually filming and generating all of their content to go on to social media as well. So we were getting that. With partnership with the Eagles, we used their broadcast booth and the big Jumbotron screen that they had. So we brought in our broadcast guy, Mike Watkins from Enderby. We live streamed this event for 7.5 hours. We had over 769 views of the event during the day, and the average watch time was almost 30 minutes. So that's a huge tracking piece for us. And then because we're the Eagles and we have the capability, we actually had the Explore Sick Moose commercial that Carly had produced. And so every time the event changed, we would actually play that commercial. So that was being viewed and streamed every time someone logged on to that event. The event was so successful that the athletes do want to come back. We had managed 30M actually sponsor the event for $1,000. So we hired in a professional videographer that we will get full content of the event, as well as a professional photographer. So we will have, professional coverage, we'll have professional things to promote and to advertise going forward. And there is talk that we could be provincial host within the next 2 years. So this will be an event that we want to see continue and grow. So moving on to summer, we once again will be offering our Summer Kids Club program for 8 weeks. Currently, right now, of the 320 spaces, we have 44 of those booked, and most of those are booked within the first 3 weeks. So to me, that's exciting because as summer gets closer, parents will start registering. So we'll be offering all the same things as we've done before. I've already talked with the Fire Smart crew in Clayton. We'll be doing an amazing race. So they'll be going over doing some stuff at the fire hall. We'll be utilizing the bike trail. We'll be doing some baking. And the biggest change for this year is that we will actually be utilizing the preschool room at the rec center. So I worked with Justin, the arena manager, and with Derek Sutherland. We've got a great partnership for this. We will be running while they're open, which is great. Home track is there, the playground is there, the field is there, the skateboard park is there. So on days where like today, they actually have things that they can do. We have access to a great room. It's got a full kitchen so they can do their baking and their crafts and everything that it is. So I hope this is a great adventure for this year that we can discuss for future. We also have our Swim for Life program taking place as well. We live on a lake, so everyone needs to know how to swim. It's very, very important. We do have 2 adult swimmers already booked in for private lessons for this year. And right now we currently have Swimmers booked in every session, the 2-week sessions that we have, and we have worked with the preschool once again to be offering 8 weeks on Friday. So every Friday for the month, for July and August, the preschool will be bringing their school age kids over to get swim lessons. So this is something that Crystal and I have been working on for the last 2 years. And so we hope next year, because her 3 to 5 year old group is a very young 3 to 5 year old group this year. They wanted to wait one extra year. And so next year we'll be able to offer the full day on Fridays just for the preschool in and itself. So it's a great partnership that we've put together. We'll still be offering our summer drop-in program. So Mary will continue to offer yoga starting tonight, Wednesday nights at the healthcare center. Hindu is running until the end of August at the curling rink, and they are offering childcare. So it's kind of great where she brings her teenage daughters, parents pay the teenage daughter, they get to play at the park, and mom and them get to bounce around on the funky moon boots is what I call them. And then we also have our junior golf lessons that will be taking place again up at Narrows Hills with Rick Thompson as well. So Canada Day, because it's not that far away. For Canada Day right now, we are switching back to the beach park because last year we were unsure with the beach and what it was going to be. But this year, because they've got so much to work done, we're going to shift back and we're going to have a Canada Day beach party. So we have our food trucks down at the beach park. We have our kids talent show. So we took all the elements that used to be a part of Family Fun Day and rolled them into Canada Day this year. So that way we know people are here, they're going to enjoy it. So we're going to have a kids talent show. We're going to do a sandcastle building competition. We have our cardboard boat races. And new this year is we're offering a cornhole tournament. So we're going to have a kids division, a family division, and an adult division. And then we have 2 bands that are playing. We have Rolling Coal, which is out of Vernon, and we have the Youngins, which are out of Lumbee. Both of them come highly recommended. And we're working with Mike Miltmore for the stage and such. And something that is new this year is we're actually not going to leave the stage at the back of the beach park. We're actually going to move the stage to the front of the beach park. And we're going to set it up so you're actually facing the water. So that way, when it's time for the fireworks and the stage is there, because what happens is people come in for Canada Day, they stake out their spot and they don't want to move, they want to lose that spot. So they don't go to the back and watch the stuff that's going on in the back. So we're actually going to move the stage to the people. We're going to set it off kind of kitty corner along the railway tracks and face it out that way. And then what we're also doing is we were successful in getting an $8,000 grant from Heritage Canada. So part of that grant money is I replaced the Firemen's Club foam pit. So the Firemen's Club have a brand new foam pit. It will be up and running this Saturday at their safety fair to test it out. And if you haven't been down to the beach park to watch these kids streak to bubble or running back and forth from the lake, it's a treat. So definitely come down and check that out. And of course, what would St. Louis be without our fireworks on the water at dusk? So that kind of leads into our facility bookings. So this is to date since December 31st. We have handled 28 bookings in the healthcare center. This is outside of program bookings and outside of the church bookings that are in there. So this encompasses workshops, weddings, funerals, special meetings, things like that. I have issued, as of this morning now, 14 facility use permits. So that's a various with the snow pitch, fall tournament, safety fair, car shows, backyard ultra, Canadian ultra, the hockey school, music in the park, ball concession, and mixed balls. So those are all things that we look after, as well as 2 stage bookings for this year and 1 street closure. So things that I have to oversee when doing that is making sure their insurances are in place, they've got their interior health permits in place, if they're doing liquor, that their liquor permits and security plans are in place. And then if they're making sure that we have staffing in place to make sure that there's staff on for the weekend, or if they will be in the sets, that I'm coordinating with the public works team to make sure. So we have our once a week rec meeting to make sure all of that's in place for moving forward. So moving on to fall programs, we are probably going to continue with everything that we offered last fall with the addition of a few more. So we're going to look at offering a once a month family gym night where we feature things like a laser tag night, glow in the dark, capture the flag, things like that. We're looking into investing into a Canucks ball hockey program. As you can see that on the bottom left-hand corner of the skate, it's not a typical road hockey stick. It's an actual plate with a wiffle ball and a lighter stick. So basically it's meant for anybody. And this kit is portable, so you can pick it up and take it anywhere. So my hope is to work with maybe the seniors and stuff and get it over into the manor, into the haven, that sort of thing. And then, of course, we are working with Mara as well to offer a family fitness program. So nothing says get fit as working out together. And that was something that came back on the family or on the surveys that we did, is that families are looking for things to do together. So these programs came out of that generation. Fall programs will continue to work with Deb with their Funding Fest. And then this year she would like to introduce a children's art piece and a parade. So the rec department will help with that. Additionally, we'll be maintaining our partnership with the Arts Council and the Eagles to do our Halloween event. The Christmas parade and light up will be held on December the 5th, so mark your calendars now. And then we expect the holiday train to be arriving between December 14th and 18th, with the announcement coming in early October. And so, just so most of you probably are aware, I was fortunate enough to be selected as one of the first inductees for the Pathways to Belonging training from the BC Recreation and Parks Association. So what this means is I will be looking to host a series of workshops over the summer. I need 10 individuals to come and take this training with me. And what they do is they commit to three 2-hour sessions with me. And then what we go over is expanding your understanding of inclusion, diversity, equality, and accessibility, implementing equity-focused policies and practices, creating programs and communications for diverse participants, increasing awareness and ways to address social and structural accessibility barriers, boosting engagement of underrepresented communities throughout cultural and responsive approaches, and promoting lasting inclusion, belonging in communities. So this is things as we want to put on our lens as if we're talking about our seniors coming to the community, they don't understand the homeowners grant. So it's a way to work with them for them to understand that, and this is something I reached out to actually the resource centers. Is there a way that we can say, Holly and Candace say, if you take your paper to the resource center, they will gladly help you, but then giving them the tools to understand they need their social insurance number, they need their tax receipt, they need that type of stuff in order for them to apply their homeowners grant, because we need to realize not everybody can read it. Not everybody speaks English as a first language. Not everybody is computer savvy, and not everybody owns their own home computer. So how can we look at things that we do on a regular daily basis that we take for granted? We may not see someone has a disability, but they have a disability. So it's just opening those eyes. Or when we're looking at, for an example, Councillor Bushel has brought up the Moby maps and things like that for making access to our public beach park. It's great to put the Moby mats in, and we want to be accessible, but to go along with that, we need to make sure that are we providing a wheelchair accessible washroom? Are we ensuring that we've got the parking in place? So that's what this program does, is it makes you think outside of the box, put yourself into those person's shoes, and think about the different things. When we're building a playground, are we looking at the children? You know, they may not have a physical disability, but do they have autism? Do they need sensory, place for sensory, it's not coming to me, unloading, so they can hide and they can get away from those noises and stuff. So that's what this program is about. So if anybody's interested in taking it or sending their staff to take it with me, please let me know, and I'll set up some workshops. And that's it for me.
Great, thanks, Jamie. Councillors? Go ahead, Councillor Bushel.
See the chair. Thank you very much for everything you do. That's a lot to take in, and really appreciate just the programs you offer for the families and get the young generation out there. I like what you're doing with the events in the shoulder season and off season. Like I couldn't make the strongman one. I was out of town for that weekend, but that it all helps, and it's just one more thing on a weekend that in the shoulder season that people will stay and help the businesses out on around town. I like what you got going with the rec center. That's really good news that you're working in there, and that we can expand on keeping that rec center busy and active. And really like what you did with the grant and the foam pit. great, good thinking. That's a really good, everybody loves the foam pit and it's always a big, attraction for sure. But no, thank you very much for everything. I don't know if there's anything else you need from us, this summer, but yeah, we'll, get ready for Canada Day and keep up the great work. Thank you very much.
Councillor McCabe, then Councillor Bailey.
Yeah, very impressive report. When I first started on council, we didn't have a recreation program. And now for a small town, I think we're hitting it out of the park. So job well done.
Councillor Bailey.
I definitely echo what Councilor McCabe just said. I think it's great. And one of the shout outs I want to do, because I think the Sioux Schwab Showdown, this is the second year or second year, and it definitely grew. And I certainly saw some really larger muscular type people around and they were eating a lot. So I mean, they certainly seemed to like the brisket down at the Narrows, but I wanted to compliment you on starting this because I know you were one of the drivers behind it, but it's just a really good example of how we can use the off season and have some of these events fill in what's traditionally some of the quietest times around town. And I just want to encourage more of that thinking. I think everybody around this council table does. So I think good job. And it sounds really positive in terms of the direction it's going towards growing every year and then us potentially having the ability to host even a larger event. So yeah, I mean, it's such a great kind of cross section of events that we're putting on, and I think everyone should be proud, especially you, Jamie, of what the district is offering for the budget that we do, and it's just money well spent, and I've heard that from so many people in the community. So thanks.
Thank you, Councillor Evans.
Yeah, Jamie, thank you so much for your amazing work. Like everybody's been saying, you're doing a lot with a little, and to see how things like the Bubble Wonder and all, and the different things happening at the new facility on 200 Main Street, and just the varied, great ideas you have, like inline skating that's new, and getting kids exercising. And I attended one day. I watched the little people learning the soccer skills, and it just kind of made my day. So good work. We're so proud of you and Danny and the work you do, and we're just so grateful that our little town's got this kind of stuff available to families. It's pretty spectacular.
Thanks, Bob.
Thank you for that. And I'm thankful that you mentioned Danielle, because I will be very honest, I would not be able to do half of what I do without Danielle's dedication for what it is that she does. She connects with these families, she connects with these kids on a level. And if we didn't have her, these programs wouldn't be taking place.
Councillor Beach.
Yes, to the chair, Jamie, I just want to say that you've done an amazing job of incorporating all of what this town offers, like every facility that has any potential, any space. And I just, that takes a really special vision and ability to innovate and good job. Like, I'm so proud. I'm so proud of you.
Now you make me cry.
Thanks, Councillor Beach. Thank you, Jamie. Great presentation. Thanks for all that you do. I'm going to circle back to drones as opposed to, and doing some research on drones instead of, and replacing our fireworks with drones, because there are some simply amazing drone shows out there that showcase pieces of your community in the sky.
I'm team explosion.
Sorry?
Fireworks.
Oh, it's changing, like everything is changing, right? The environment's changing, the people with pets are changing then, and it's just, it says it's huge and it's beautiful, don't get me wrong, but when you've got parts of your community highlighted in the sky with drones, in Calgary, I watched theirs, they've got the hockey teams and all the stuff that brings the Stampede, all of that stuff that showcases the tower. that showcases Calgary. So I think that, and I think that council thinks I'm crazy, but I do believe that drones eventually, because there's so much use, will become more affordable.
I
And
was just gonna say, I've had a few presentations, people reach out to me, and just a bare minimum 10-minute show is upwards of $70,000 a year for 10 minutes. So if they can come down in affordability, 100% agree.
absolutely. I think the more users that start using drones, I think that they will be more cost competitive. That's all I'm saying. And that's something that we shouldn't take our eye off, because I think it's amazing to watch to music. And I think it just probably maybe is effective. I don't know. I'm not, it's just an idea to pop out there. Canada Day, you used to share with the Chamber of Commerce. Are you not sharing it with the Chamber of Commerce, I share?
Canada Day has never been shared with the Chamber of Commerce.
reason.
It was the family.
Oh,
fun
Family Day, Family
was-
Fun Day.
Was shared with the Chamber of Commerce, yes.
Hey,
That's
and
why we've moved some of those tried and true, the cardboard boat races, all that type of stuff to Canada Day for that reason, because they were missed, but people weren't coming, supporting, volunteering. So
Right.
we moved it into the Canada Day.
Okay, perfect. Thank you for clarifying that for me. And back to Ian's point for shoulder seasons and finding things to do that come to our community. Is there an opportunity for you to, I know with that, most of these events can't be moved into shoulder season, but is there shoulder season events that we haven't tapped into or we haven't checked on yet that we could go looking for to make Sycamoose the host for those and start building on?
I'd be glad to, if that's what council would like to see for me to do. I'd be more than happy. Coming from someone that was in tourism for as long as I was, I do understand the need for off-season events. So if that's council's desire, I will do my best to see what I can find.
So looking to you, Dean, would that be a tourism, send tourism on that path, or is it recreation? Because a lot of these things like the strongman and things like that seem to be more falling into recreation. So is there an opportunity for?
As far as seeking out the events at this point, council has left that with your tourism initiatives as part of their strategic works. So they are working to do that. Of course, as a small organization and a small community, there is going to be coordination with Jamie and Recreation on these events, in the health center, wherever they take place. So it's more of a cooperative than like a bigger community. We may have a separate isolated department. There is a generality to it. But at this point, council has directed this specific looking for those events through economic development and tourism.
Thanks. And just to back up, just to pop over to seniors now. Is there opportunity there? And there may be, and I probably have seen some of it, but is there opportunity to spend some time with seniors on scammers and things that just education for our seniors and spending some time with them and just making sure that they're aware of everything that's going on in the world today that they need to be aware of?
The Seniors Activity Center with Mary Walters and Elaine, they are so on that.
Okay, good.
They are so on that. What we do is we work with them to offer and market the events that they do. But Mary and those guys are well aware. Mary's also become, I don't know her complete title, but somebody that actually has emergency services for seniors. And so she works with them on wills, she works with them on computer stuff, she worked with them with the scammers and things like that, helping them with the dental plans and things like that. So the seniors group as a whole, we support them, we advertise their stuff for them, but I don't want to step on toes because they're pretty wild oils.
No, perfect. No, I'm just making sure, I just wanted to make sure those
Yeah.
bases were being covered. And I know that in your programs, you dabble with the seniors, and I just want to make sure that those were covered. Perfect. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I just wanted to follow up just on kind of helps drive the season part, because I think it's, as you said, a whole group effort. And I would like to see, like, obviously you're doing part of it, but I think there needs to be right across the organization a concerted effort wherever we can to start building up whatever we can on our off season. So whether that's this department or another department or anything else, is that we coordinated. So, and I do think obviously recreation is one of those things where it does have a big impact. So we're doing some recreational elements, but we're also building up kind of the off-season attraction of Sycamoose, because I think ultimately that's our greatest challenge, is how do we broaden it out? And if we have a coordinated effort, like Dean said, that mostly ECDev, but I think others can be involved in it as well.
All right. Thanks, oh, sorry, go ahead.
Just one comment on that. Ian, you're absolutely correct. And we continue to look for opportunities. The one we did this year was TOLBA, the Thompson Okanagan Local Government Association. So where we offer the opportunities where we can bring associations and conferences to Sycamus instead of other communities. So that's ideal. And so, yes, you're correct. An overall effort, not just looking at recreation, not just looking at tourism events, but any opportunity. And I think that's the nice thing about having a tight-knit management team is wherever we see in our professional associations the opportunity to offer something in Sycamus, we're going to continue to do that. And that was one of the reasons behind bringing Tolman here, so we could demonstrate the competencies are great in Sycamus.
Thanks.
Okay, thank you, Jamie.
Thanks, Jamie.
Okay, Secretary, Mayor and Council reports. Councilor Bushel.
Oh, through the chair. I had a meeting with Carly and the Shuswap Backcountry Riders. Again, they were talking about trying to expand the off season and having events in the fall, probably like a big jamboree. So we were working on that. Also had a meeting with ECDev floor 13, John Dunn, in regards to the development and hotel accommodations. Had an interview with him. With a developer on the 30th of May. That was Josh Keller doing the wet up development. At another meeting, Ian attended it with Mark Solosky. He's looking at having an ORV tour operators business to actually start working in the shoulder seasons and bringing tours with ORVs, which is a lot of times when you get a lot of people come into town, they don't know where to go. So it'll be great to have a tour operator to do that. I was out of town. I missed the CSRD Parks Planning meeting, but I think we can go online and comment on that. But the CSRD had a couple of meetings, one at the rec center and one at Swansea Point for the parks plan. So encourage people to go online and review the parks plan and comment. Attended part of the SNEEZE meeting last night, and also I had a Caribou Zoom meeting yesterday for the Caribou, and it's great to they've wrapped up a 5-year program where they were monitoring and having meetings with First Nations and trappers and the federal government and provincial government. But it was really interesting to see that the wolf reduction for wolves has made a huge difference in the caribou population in all 15 segment areas in British Columbia. So it wasn't really the snowmobilers that were chasing them away. Some of the herds have doubled, if not tripled, in every herd. So it's good news. So they're going to keep working on that, and they're going to go through another 5-year process. So it was a good it was a good Zoom meeting yesterday. So that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor McCabe.
That's a hard act to follow. Not act, sorry. Apologies. Yeah, I don't have anything to report.
Thanks. Councilor Beach.
Coming out of SOGA, I guess, made me sort of look at what kind of resolutions we were considering, or we could consider putting forward at UBCM. So I had talked to Dean about I can't see, sorry. Darn these eyes. Anyways, just some specifics. I know we do have a resolution. I just thought, I'd throw it out there, thinking that maybe we want to talk about get something to get for 24/7 check stations to be developed, and maybe implementation of an annual Clean Checks ID sticker system were sort of a couple of top ones on my list of things that I thought might be good for us to go for, to push the feds on. I also attended the Shuswap Trail Alliance Trail Party on the 6th, really for Eagle Valley. I did Community Support Society. I did face painting for them there. It was a great experience though, and I think a lot of kids, so it kind of got me thinking that I needed to develop a forest history, agroflora and fauna face painting theme. And so I'm working on that because I like to paint, to be used as an education tool in the forest. And I was thinking, I guess, because of Gordon, I did the forest tour that day. That's kind of this book, and it gave me a whole bunch of material. So I'm kind of excited about that. I have had concerns come forward by another Silver Sands resident about the train whistle. And I guess I just feel, I wonder if I wonder if there's Silver Sands support. I think there is Silver Sands concern enough to support maybe having a community referendum on that whistle. And I don't know how that comes about or what we would need to go forward on that. But yeah, I've had a few people come and say, how do we get rid of this whistle? And so I'm just putting it out there because I really don't know what that would mean. And I realized too that, and I did advise after, that it would be a taxation issue to get rid of that whistle as well. So, this morning, Gordon and I had a meeting with a resident, had been requested by a resident from Spalmsheen Road, concerns around a need for directional signage and plans for temporary and permanent parking over on that road. And in particular, he was worried about fallen road parking. And this is a CSRD issue, but he just wanted us to be aware of some of the concerns of residents there. And he's basically said he was told that there would be consultation on all of this stuff before anything was done at Fallen Road, but he said that there was equipment working and there was no consultation. They weren't warned or they weren't told anything. So he just wanted us to know that they were experiencing some concerns, I think, about the Fallen Road area. And he also did sort of express some, a desire, I guess, for us to look at alternate parking, and talked about, could there be some parking on both sides of, like under the bridge parking? And he's aware that, well, he wasn't aware, but we made him aware that there was a parking lot dedicated in Sycamoose for parking. So we talked about parking space as well. Yeah, and the only other thing is that I have also been approached by a couple of residents in regards to e-scooter use around town. So that have been terrorized, it seems, by an e-scooter. So I'm not sure. Education probably has to be looked at, and maybe do we have regulations at this point about, I mean, it's a fairly new challenge, the e-scooter piece. Anyways, that's my report.
Thank you. Councillor Bailey.
Yeah, I've just been actually having quite a few, constituent meetings lately, and around mostly one of them was taxes. And that's an interesting thing to kind of explain to people that not all of the taxes on this sheet. I certainly looked at mine today. Lots of fun there. But a lot of the tax increases is not coming from Sycamoose. It was coming from other kind of areas. But I think that's just something we constantly have to explain what's actually in our control, because a lot of people rightfully, there's only one taxpayer and they see the bill and they assume that we have ultimate control over what's on this bill, and we just don't. So had quite a few several meetings and with folks, and not all of them are happy, but there was a huge increase in school taxes this year, which is driving a lot of the increases, and that's provincially mandated. I think the other issue that has come up, and why I was hopefully not too hard on the waste management guy. I wasn't trying to be, but what I was trying to do is give voice to something I've heard several times about, certainly the fee increases, and there were some concerns around garbage being diverted, not from the landfill because of those increases. I must say I've heard from a couple of business owners where they're starting to think that they have to start locking their bins because there's a lot more that have been showing up in their bins than before once that increase came in. So I think where there's always knock-on effects, right? We do something over here and then you find that it changes somewhere else. And I think in the garbage sense, just on the surface level, it's changed. So it's just something I think is hopefully will be top of mind at CSRD when these issues are coming up, how this actually affects day-to-day people. And that's the point that I've been getting from constituents is that plans are great, but if I can't afford it, what is that plan worth, right? And I think those are important things that I've been hearing, and I guess that's reasonable around times when people are getting their tax invoices. So yeah, I think that's mostly it. I've also heard about the issue of e-bikes, and I think this is just something that is ongoing, and I think the RCMP is also recognize some of those challenges, and it's just a hard one trying to literally be there at the right time when someone's riding so anyways, I think education, all these pieces are useful things. Yeah,
Thank you. I think Bianca, you did a great job with taxes and explaining to people that taxes and inviting people here into this room to understand their taxes. And our tax increase was minuscule compared to everyone else's. Like the district of Sycamoose held back as much as they possibly could and kept it really, really fine. But you've got hospital taxes, you've got school taxes, you've got RCMP. District of Sycamoose has no control over those. So I think people need to pick up their tax invoice and go through all the items on there, and you'll see that, it's not the District of Sycamoose that's charging all for all that stuff, but it is stuff that we have to support. We're only 20 minutes to our closest hospital. We have RCMP in our town. Those are things that we need to have as a community this size, and they need to be here. So, I mean, there's nothing we can do to curb those, but we do watch our municipal taxes and we pay attention to what's going on in our community, and we did a great job of that. So, I went to, so just, to that point. And, garbage is, again, garbage is garbage, man. People need to not toss it out in the ditch. For myself, here in our community, I take my bottles to the bottle depot, I take my cardboard to the cardboard, I take 2 bags of garbage to the dump, which is $10 a month. I don't know how my garbage can get much cheaper than that. Like that's my garbage bill. So I'm not sure if anyone else's is different than that, but I'm just saying that I don't think it's the tipping fees aren't that outrageous. So, and it does support some changes in facilities up there. I attended FCM in Edmonton last week. I was there from Thursday, Friday, got back on Sunday. Once again, it's a great event to attend. You get some nuggets on about a lot of different areas in our world. So we did get to listen to George Cuff for a while, and I love George Cuff because he is such a seasoned politician and has such an interesting look on everything. And it's actually quite hilarious how he looks at some stuff in his tenure as a politician. And then I attended SNEE's meeting last night. They're still looking for funding for 80 grand for a study. So I've reached out, and everyone knows I've reached out to Minister of Water and Lands, looking for them to work with them. I've reached out to Mel Arnold. I've pretty much reached out to every minister, and Sycamus is well on the map and knows about Sycamus, you know, or Sycamus is well on the map with every minister. So that I'm not going to stop reaching out and asking for. I also, Bianca and Dean and I had a meeting with Chris from IH and working on some strategy there to see if we can keep moving this project forward. So, and that's it for me. We now have, oh, sorry. I'm sorry, Bob.
That's
Bob.
okay. I'm out here in digital land. I understand.
The baby, the new baby.
Yeah, I'm excited to announce we had our second granddaughter last week. It was a crazy week, but little Luna Bell has joined society, and I'm thankful for her. I got to go to grad last week and speak there in the mayor's stead and watch all our fine grads. And some of those kids, I mean, all of them are fabulous, but I love some of their ideas that they're going to pursue in life. And I am in a car on the way Sandra's driving. I'm not to go to my daughter Bethany's grad, who graduated ERS in 2018. She's graduating from social work degree at Fraser University in Abbotsford. So that's where I'm on my way there. I talked to some folks in town that said they met a family that biked from Enderby or to Sigamoose, went to Moose Mulligan's, and the bike back. A rail trail is just fabulous. Speaking of electric bikes, cruising at a speed of 18 kilometers an hour, my wife and I drove around the new beautifully paved Elliott Crescent, and it was so nice to see that great work that's been done there. And then as I was parked out front of the bargain shop while Sandra went in there, I watched a young man on an electric dirt bike with no pedals, going as fast as he could down Parksville Street past the school, easily doing 60 kilometers an hour with no helmet. And he was seeing how fast he could go on that straight stretch. And I was just mortified. And I think a lot of it is the parents. And I would ask any parents to please supervise your kids and slow them down, because somebody's going to get killed. And it's a big concern that I have. But not to ruin this beautiful day with that, but it's just something that I think that we need to be aware of. And I'm very excited about the summer and Canada Day. It's only a few weeks away. I'm pretty excited about that. And Sigamoose, go Sigamoose. We're kicking butt.
Great, thanks. Congratulations on your daughter's accomplishments and travel safe. Okay, we have 15 minutes for public input. Are you here for public input?
I was just what the district status is with
Can I get you up to the podiums and state your name, please?
Greg Longston, a local business owner. I was just curious what the district's plan is with the increase in crime in the twilight hours and no security. Is it no RCMP bylaw?
So okay, so we do have our CMP and we do have his bylaw on now.
Yeah, they're on call overnight, right?
No, there's a small window between, I don't know. I don't even know what it is anymore. But there is a little window where they switch shift.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we do have 24-hour police.
No, we do.
We have 24-hour policing available within the community.
Okay, it's on call after a certain time.
Correct.
Yes.
Is there any plans to have businesses so they stop getting broken into?
I'm not sure. I don't know what you're referring to. I'm not aware.
If you want to reach out to me, I'm certainly happy
Sure.
to contact our.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Have you contacted the RCMP?
I have, yes, because I was first.
Okay. Well, maybe reach out to our CEO and he can have a chat with you and have a chat with Murray, and bylaw will be starting soon now till, starting regular shifts, because we do contract bylaw in the summer. So.
Okay, I was just curious. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. Anyone online? Okay, we're going to call the committee of the whole meeting. We're going to adjourn the committee of the whole meeting at 2:46 on June the 10th. And can I get a mover? Councillor Bailey. Councillor McCabe, all in favor? Okay, that's great. We're adjourned and we've got in camera or regular council starting at 3.